to you. Dog Food Radio, um, first of the season. Um, been on a hiatus, but we back on it. Shout to the Fanatical L. Shout to everybody that's following the Browns. Um, we're gonna try to keep this short and sweet, and I'm not even gonna come with no new information because I've been saying the same thing for 2 years, at least the last year. The Browns failed to score more than 20 points, and they lost. They held probably the number one, that'll probably end up being the number one, at least passing offense in the league to 17 points, and they lost. I think I saw something that said they held them to 7 positive yards, net yards, in the second half, and they lost. You have a top five defense. I think it's clear that Mason Graham, adding him to the defensive line, looked like that seemed to play a role in improving an already stellar defense. Schlesinger looked good. So some of the defensive players, I mean, the defense looked phenomenal against a top flight offense. We know that offense is going to be top flight, and they held them to 17 points. But yet, the two-time coach of the year, let me say that for all the Stefanski lovers, two-time coach of the year, your offensive coordinator, your offensive play caller, who's never had a passing offense higher than 19th, go look this up. He's never had a passing offense ranked higher than 19th in his career in the NFL. Now, his running games have been top five, top 10 a few times, but ask yourself, was that more Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cook, or was that Stefanski's scheme? Let's go to our first slide. This is old. Record in games where the offense scores over 20 points. In 2020, the Browns were 11-1. In 2021, they were 5-3. In 2022, they were 6-5. 2023, they were 9-2. So you see, I don't even have the 2024 numbers. We'll update that later in the week. But you see that when they score over 20 points historically, now we know they only won 3 games last season, but we know historically, since 2020, if they score more than 20 points, they have a higher percentage of winning the game. It's not even up for debate. I'm not trying to talk to you about feelings. I'm trying to talk to you about stats. All right. Let's take it to when they score under 20 points. 2020, they were 1-5. 2021, they were 3-6. 2022, they were 1-5. 2023, they were 2-5. So when they can't score more than 19 points, you see they have a losing record. Their win percentage is that looks like that's less than 15%. So, and I'm gonna just leave that on the screen here for a minute. Yesterday, they could not score more than 16 points. And I get the kicker missed an extra point and a field goal. I understand that. I understand that you had some receivers that had the case of the dropsies. I understand that too. Let's go ahead and get this off the screen for a second. I understand that too. The issue is not the receivers dropping passes because they said on the broadcast Jerry Jeudy led the league in drops last season. So a drop pass, even when Mark Andrews dropped a pass, there are other things that contribute to losing the game. So I can't put it all on the kicker, but I will put it all on the people that evaluate the kicker and some of the talent. You had all off season to address the kicker position. You had all off season to do that. You could have drafted one. You could have traded for one. You had all off season to do that. Based on their talent evaluation, they wanted to go with the rookie. Another reason I can't really slam the rookie, that was his first game, first experience. I mean, I'm not making excuses for him, but your coach is an offensive coach, and everybody thinks that the Bengals are going to have one of the worst defenses in the league. Everybody thinks that. Everybody believes that. They're definitely probably not going to be top 20. And yet your offensive coach that's supposed to be able to scheme guys open couldn't get you above 20. Now, we got a few other slides that we want to look at real quick. Again, this is 2020 to 2023. Coach win percentages when they score over 20 points. Stefanski Again, not counting last year, but last year's probably going to hurt his numbers. 31-11 for a 73.8% percentage when he scores over 20 points. Now, that's still good for dead last in the AFC North because Zach Taylor wins 75% of his games when he scores over 20. Harbaugh wins 76.5% of his games when he scores over 20. And Tomlin wins over 81% of his games when he scores over 20. When they score under 20, Stefanski has a 25.8, 26% win percentage. Zach Taylor only has a 16% win percentage. Tomlin has a little bit higher, 26.5, so it's a little lower than Stefanski. And then Harbaugh, he has a 34.7% win percentage. So Stefanski's in third place when it comes to that. So scoring under 19 points for just about any team, that tends to be a recipe to put you on the fast track to losing, typically. So again, these are old slides. This isn't even nothing new. If you go back and look up the stats, offense has been the problem. This team has not been able offensively to score enough points. And I don't blame that on the players because I think they've had weapons. Stefanski has had a litany of weapons come in and out the door offensively. Now his wide receiver room, after Beckham and Landry and Cooper and say what y'all want about Donovan Peoples-Jones, he didn't drop passes. He was a reliable security blanket. So after you kind of let that wave of receivers go, they haven't really replaced that. Obviously, they haven't replaced Nick Chubb. They're probably not going to replace Nick Chubb. But one thing I also want you to think about when you talk about the GM and the coach, if Stefanski's never had passing offense ranked higher than 19th, that's never happened. It's probably not going to happen because that's not even you watched the game yesterday. It's a lot of short, intermediate stuff. I don't even recall too many deep shots, maybe 2 passes that I saw, a couple deep shot plays, but his passing game isn't predicated on that. You haven't seen it, and the stats reflect that. And if the running back position is where he's had his meat and potatoes as far as better stats, top 10, I think Chubb and them were like top 5, top 3 in 2020. I think they were like number 3 in the league or something there in run. When Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry were up as free agents, and this is after Chubb hurt himself, he got his knee blew out. They didn't even make a run to see, well, maybe we can bolster the running back room, give Chubb time to come back. And it wasn't going to break the bank. So if your stats say that your run game helps to open up your pass game, which is mediocre, again, I don't get it. I don't understand what they're trying to build offensively. And let's be honest, Stefanski has nothing to do with the defense. That is all Jim Schwartz. So what you see Jim Schwartz doing, that is Schwartz. That's his defensive mind. I believe this team would be better off, especially in the AFC North, with a defensive-minded head coach. And you just have an offensive coordinator, and your only job is to call the plays. Because we're going into year 6 with Stefanski, 5 or 6? And do we have the passing rankings here? I think we have the passing rankings. These are scoring offense. 2020, the passing offense was ranked 24th. 2021, the passing offense was ranked 27th. 2022, the passing offense was ranked 22nd. 2023, the passing offense was ranked 19th. And then I think I have the stats here for last year. The passing offense was ranked 22nd. So all of the Stefanski supporters, all the people that give him a pass, I had conversations in the group chat yesterday, and they were saying this game is not on Stefanski. Sure, I'm not putting 100% of the blame on him. Sure. Let me go ahead and say that. 100% of the blame isn't on him for that particular game. But if you go back and you look at 5 years worth of games and lack of success, lack of productivity, offensively. We're not talking about defensively. We're talking about offensively. I can remember games, one-score games, that they have the ball and Stefanski can't scheme up a play to make things happen, to put the offense in a good position. And the stats reflect that. Nick Chubb is gone. He ain't coming back. Yeah, I don't know if you hear the lawnmower in the background, so excuse that. But he ain't coming back. So now your run game is a question mark because the number one running back that you drafted to be a number one running back, who knows when he's coming back. Sampson looked good. Some of the other backs look good. I don't know about Ford, but some of the other guys look good as far as what they were doing on the field. But the passing game is still anemic. The passing game is not explosive. It doesn't scare anybody. And how do you continue to give your offensive-minded head coach that calls the plays, how do you continue to give him a pass when, if you go back and look at the stats, his passing offense has never been explosive? This team has never had an explosive passing offense, ever, since Stefanski has been here. I challenge you. Find me the year. You want to tell me that stretch of games when it was Joe Flacco and they were playing bottom third defenses, they weren't even explosive then. They were just exploiting piss poor defenses. So the stats, I'm not going off of feeling. We're going off of stats. If I pull the 24 stats, they're going to make his numbers drop. They went 3-14 last season. The defense, you have a Super Bowl caliber defense. What more do you want the defense to do? If they're holding teams to 17 points, that's three scores? So that's a score a quarter. So that means one quarter they're not even scoring. Your offensive coach can't get you 21 points. Take the kicker mess out of it. I understand that. Take that out of it. But even when they talked about how many times he was going for it on fourth down, you're going for it on fourth down because you're not converting on third down. And let's be honest, they don't have a money play like the Eagles. They don't have a money play. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy dropped a fourth down slant. Yeah, he should have caught that. But the drop passes are going to happen. So you can't put it all on the kicker. You can't put it on drop passes. You're supposed to play a clean, complete game. And what we've seen from the Browns under Kevin Stefanski's offensive leadership is that in tight games, in games that matter, there tends to be a little bit of, not even a little bit, but historically, he can't get them over the hump. And then the players are the ones that get the blame. If this was an offensive coordinator with the same track record, he would have been fired. He would have been fired. I think he would have been fired. So what is the solution? Because I don't think they're going to fire Stefanski. I don't think they're going to fire Andrew Berry. But you're watching a defense, a loaded defense. Because if you could combine the Browns defense and the Bengals offense, they might go 16-0. The offense that the Browns has, and let's wrap up on this. Everybody talks about quarterback play. I think Joe Flacco gave you decent quarterback play yesterday. I give him a B+. I think he gave you decent quarterback play. I think he got the ball out quick, didn't hold the ball too long, executed the offense. But when everybody talks about, the wide zone scheme and the play action, that got you 16 points. That got you 16 points. I mean, that's not, maybe that would have worked in the early 2000s. But you need explosion. You need the threat of being able to score quickly. The Bills were down by 15 with 5 minutes left. The Browns don't have that type of explosion. Now, whether that's the Josh Allen factor, the plays that are being called, I don't know. I'm just telling you that when I watch the Bills, their offense is a threat anytime to score, anywhere they're on the field. When you watch the Ravens, it's the same thing. When you watch the Chiefs, it's the same thing. The Bengals got held in check offensively. You told you before the season started they was going to score 17 points. You would say the Browns going to win that game. Because listen, think about what they told y'all the whole offseason. We like our wide receiver room. We like our running back room. Joe gives us the best chance to win. That's what they said. And Stefanski, so now Stefanski doesn't have the poor quarterback play excuse now. Remember, Watson's he didn't play. DTR didn't play. None of the rookies are playing. You got a vet that everybody wanted back. Everybody clamored for him to be back. So you got good quarterback play. Where are guys schemed open? When I see Kyle Shanahan's offense, he schemes his guys open. Guys are wide open. There's an element to that. Obviously, it doesn't happen on every drive, but there's an element to that. And what we're going to do this week, we're going to pull some stats. We're going to get into some real stats. I'm going to update the 24 stats from last season, and we're going to get to some real stats because I bet you right now the Browns passing offense is on track to be 24th, somewhere in that range, 22, 24. And team offense, like they were last year, I believe they were dead last. Were they dead last in team offense? I think they're on track to be bottom third, if not dead last in team offense. And who is the common denominator? Because you've had a quarterback carousel. You've had a wide receiver carousel. The only constant really has been Njoku at the tight end and some of the pieces on the offensive line. That's really it. I've never seen a coach get so many passes. Because if he was a defensive coach and his defense looked terrible, they would be saying, you call the plays. That's your specialty. This guy is an offensive coach. Offense is his specialty. But see, Nick Chubb made him look more serviceable than he was. That's really what it was. Because it was Nick Chubb. It was the Nick Chubb effect. And as you see, Nick Chubb is in here. So maybe Quinshon Judkins and Sampson can give you a little bit of that Nick Chubb type of production as a dual-headed type of threat. But you're probably drafting in the bottom or top of the draft again. And it looks like Jacksonville, they winning more than 5 games this season. They're winning 8 or 9 games this season. They're in a weak division. So that pick, you're probably going to be in the late teens with that Jacksonville pick. And do you trust them to identify the quarterback of the future? Do you trust them to do that? I hope yesterday that loss didn't ruin your day, because I said it last year and I'm going to say it again this year. Every game they can't score, the Browns offense can't score more than 17 points. We're not even going to take it up to 19. Again, let's look at the graphic. Look at the 20 points graphic. When they score over 20 points in 2020, 11-1. In 2021, 5-3. In 2022, 6-5. In 2023, 9-2. That's over 500 in games they score over 20 points every season since 2020 going to 2023. We'll update it for 2024, but they only won 3 games, so it doesn't matter. So it's going to hurt the percentage a little bit. And think about this. This is with the quarterback carousel. This is with the piss poor quarterback play. Everybody says he's never had a quarterback. All of this. When you score over 20, you have a better chance to win, especially with that defense. Under 19, 1-5, 3-6, 1-5, 2-5. So we ain't even gonna give them 19 points. If they can't score more than 17, because at least if they got the 17 yesterday, the game goes to overtime and maybe you have a chance. If they can't score more than 17, it's going to be more of what it was yesterday. And you got Baltimore coming off a loss. I looked at the line. The Ravens are minus 625. You got to put 600 on the Ravens to win 100. Vegas knows that's probably going to be a beatdown. Not because of the defense. The Browns defense is solid. The Ravens only need to score 20 points to win that game. And they scored, 40 last night? So they only need to do half of what they did offensively against the Bills on Sunday against the Browns. Does that not highlight the problem with the offense? And I'm not even saying that they don't have the right players. I'm not saying that. I think that the players with a different play caller could look totally different. So we'll land on this. We'll end on this piece here. Every game, the Browns offense doesn't score more than 17 points. 95%, you're probably walking out of there with an L. They can't score enough points. And I think every team knows that, because that was the case last year. I think the Chiefs only scored 20 and won 20-17. That'll be a great graphic. We'll find some of those games against top tier offenses, because I know there's a few. But that'll do it for this edition, Dog Food Radio. Hope you're having a good start to your morning. And yeah, Fanatical Elves Network, Dog Food Radio. We'll catch y'all a little bit later in the week.